So I'm going to invite Linda Gincott to come up this morning. Many of you have heard Linda's testimony, but a lot of you haven't. And I thought it's really important for us to share this morning with Linda and about what God is doing in her life and what God has done in her life. So welcome, Linda, this morning. If she can get up on the stool, well, no, you can stand there. If you, there you go. Okay. All right, Linda, grab that and keep that up close so they can understand where you come from. All right, so Linda, you started out, your struggle in life started out when you were very young, didn't it? Tell them about originally how your problems began.
3 months old, I had bacterial spinal meningitis. They told my parents that if I lived, I would be mentally retarded. Obviously, I'm alive, and so they just assumed I would be mentally retarded.
Okay.
That's the way I was raised.
Okay, so you spent a lot of your life being raised as someone who had a huge amount of disabilities. At least that's what your parents thought, that's the way they acted, and so you didn't have the normal things that went on. And that also led to a lot of problems as far as your life is concerned. So why don't you share with us just some of those, what you went through in your life. And again, a little closer because you've got a soft voice, and I want to make sure everybody hears what's going on.
Growing up was very, very difficult. School was very difficult. Kids are cruel, and a lot of my problems in my adult life stem from being basically mentally tortured as a child. As I grew older, I had an uncle who decided that because I was retarded, I wouldn't tell, and if I did tell, who was going to believe me? So I was sexually molested from the time I was 4 years old until I was 9.
Okay.
Then everything just kind of spiraled
And so that led to a whole series of lifestyle choices which were not very wise, including children and marriages and abortions. Why don't you speak to us about that issue for just a minute?
I had gotten pregnant. My first husband had raped me. He was drunk when he came home. And I went back to my parents, and my mom decided that I didn't need to have the baby. And so she set it up, took me to the hospital, to the clinic, and I went in, was pregnant, came out, I wasn't. I didn't know who I was. No one explained to me what they were going to do. No one explained the process or anything like that. All I know is that I was in severe pain for 5 minutes and then I went home.
Okay. Now, this is not certainly the end of the story, correct? So let's talk to the people here about how God began to heal you through this process. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. In the meantime, after this had happened and I was an adult, I had my own 2 children. My mom had told me that my children would never amount to anything and that I was not a good mom. She took them, and it took a while for me to get them back. And in the meantime, I decided that my life wasn't worth living anymore. I couldn't do anything right. I had no education. I couldn't raise my kids, and so I ended up taking a bunch of pills, and 2 different kinds, and they didn't mix, and I didn't really understand it. I did almost kill myself because of the 2 different drugs. When I was in the hospital, my mom, I get this phone call, and the person on the other line said, if you ever do this again, you are no longer our daughter and no longer part of the family. So luckily I made it through, got my kids back, went through several marriages, and then I found John.
Hallelujah.
I had told God that I didn't want to marry again, that if He wanted me to raise my 2 boys by myself, that He would give me the strength to do that. And that's I just left it that way. And pretty much he just kind of dropped John through the roof. Because I wouldn't have, I wasn't looking, John wasn't looking. We were just both of us divorced, and it's just God knew that we needed to be together.
And so, once you guys got together, then your spiritual life began to change and grow as well. So talk to us about that for a minute.
When I met John, I was very, very confused about Christianity and what it meant, and if Christianity is what my mom had, I didn't want it. So I was very, very confused. And John had a whole different concept. And we started talking, and he led me through scriptures that made a whole lot more sense, and rededicated my life. And then we moved here, and this has been the best thing that ever happened to us. You guys are just so special, and you love us even though you know everything, all the bad stuff. You guys still accept us, you still love us for who we are, and we love it here. And God has just done an amazing work with me. Every morning I get up and say, nobody's going to steal my joy.
Amen.
And I say it every morning.
Amen.
Nothing's going to steal my joy.
Thank you, Linda.